In this video I want to show a cool automation. Let's just assume that you get a lot of mails, but you just want to read a summary. Let's just assume that you get like 5 or 10 mails every single night, and you want to summarize these 5 or 10 mails every morning so that you can decide if these mails are important or not. You can simply read the summary, and with this automation you can save a lot of time. And we do not have to create this ourselves, because if we press here on templates, you already find this email automation. This is really practical. Everything that you have to do is to type in these following words: email, summary, agent. We send this out and we find these two automations here. And the first automation is the right one. You can simply press on this automation. This workflow is completely for free, and here you already see what this workflow is doing. You can simply press on use workflow, and then you can copy this workflow either to your cloud instance or to your local host. I just want to copy these to my local host. You can also simply copy the template to clipboard as a JSON, but the easiest and fastest way is to simply press on these. And then you will find something like this. You need to connect your credentials. So you can connect your Gmail credentials by simply pressing on it and simply use the email account where Gmail is connected. In this account, this is connected for me, and we also need to connect our OpenAI API credentials. So we press on these and then we press on continue, and then basically everything is set up. And now I want to show you how this works. You can also play with this workflow a little bit. We have also a lot of really detailed and nailed down descriptions. So this is a perfect workflow that is easy to use, easy to set up, and also easy to change if you need. On the first note you see, starts the workflow every day at 7 AM. Adjust the time if you want the workflow to run at a different hour. So if you press on these, you can simply make this however you want. Let's just assume that you want to trigger this workflow like just one time per week on every Sunday at 7 AM. Or let's just say you want to do this every day, 1 time a day, but not on 7 AM. Let's just use 1 AM or midnight. Or maybe you just want to have your summaries before you go to bed at 10 PM. You can simply play with all of these. One of the most important things on this note is the following. So this note is triggered right now at this minute every day at 7 AM. But the most important thing is that you press on these 3 dots, that you go onto your settings, and that you need to use your time zone. So you see, this is my local instance, and the local instance has by default the American or New York time zone. So this would not work for me. I would get my email summary at 7 AM, but New York time zone. And I do want to have, of course, my time zone. So please go on settings. Please use the time zone where you are living in. Let's just say Berlin. If I press here on Berlin and press save, this thing will now work at 7 AM at my time zone and not at the New York time zone. This is one of the biggest failures that I see people all the time. They tell me, hey, this is not working, why I do get my summaries like a day later or something like this. Please make sure to use the right time zone. If you work in a cloud account, normally this will be set up automatically. But if you do this on your local host, this is the most important thing here for this workflow. If you do not do this, the time zone will simply not be correct. Now let's just take a look at the second note. Fetches all emails received in the past 24 hours from the email address. So you can simply press on this note, and here you can see that our Google account is connected because we have done this at the start. The resource is of course message. Then the operation is get many, because you want to insert a lot of data, all the emails that you got in the last 24 hours. You could also change this like to add labels or to delete mails, but I don't think that you want to delete automatically like all the mails that you get 24/7. So let's just leave it as get many for this workflow. Then the return all is of course on. If you don't want to have all, you can also give a limit. So let's just say you do not want to have more than 10 mails or a summary of 10 mails. You can play with these a little bit. It can be simplified, but it don't has to be simplified. I like to have it simplified. Then you have the search. So here you have this code. Just leave this code as it is. You can also always ask ChatGPT for more clarification on this code. Simply copy it, throw it into ChatGPT if you go an expression and make it big. You can see this code. It's basically relatively easy structured everything. So you simply want to have the data from yesterday and so on. And that's basically this node. You want to have the mails of your past 24 hours, and you can simply have some limits if you want, or simply let everything included. I just go with a limit because I got a lot of mails. I do not want to have everything here. Then the next node is organizes the fetched emails data, extracting fields like sender, receiver, CC in the previous snippet. So you can press on it. You see all item data. The put output field is of course data. Include specific fields. The fields to include is ID, from, to, CC and a snippet. And that's basically it. And then we have this OpenAI node, so you can press also on this thing right here. We have connected our OpenAI credential. The resources is the text that comes through. Then the operation is message a model because we want to have a summary. Then we can choose, for example, a model. GPT-4 Omni Mini is a model that is really cheap, and that's also reliable and good enough for a simple summarization of these. Then you have the message as text. You can go on expression and make this big and see for yourself how everything is structured. Go through this email summary and identify all key details mentioned, any specific issues to look at, and action items. Use this format to output. Summary of emails, point 1, 2, and 3. Then the actions, so the name and what action you have to take, and so it goes on. And the input data is of course the JSON string that comes through from here. So this is also like relatively easy structured. Then you have the role as user, of course, a simplified output, and the output content is JSON here. And then the last node is simply this: send the summarized email report to recipient with a styled HTML layout. Update the send to and CC list fields on the email address of your recipients. If you press on these, you see that once again our email account is connected, the resource is messaged, the operation is sent because we want to send this email to ourselves. Here you can type in, for example, the email address that you want to use. Let's just use this one right here. I just want to have my summary to this email address. Then the subjects, you see here is the code basically from previously, and also with the time zone. Make sure to use your right time zone. The email type is HTML. You can also try this with text if you want, but here you have to change the expression also here to text. It should not be a HTML, but here you have the structured HTML format, so I just would leave this as it is. Then you can scroll down. Appended N8N attribution is of course turned off. You do not want to have that this email is always sent by N8N automatically, but if you want to include it, just include it. And then the CC list at example.com, and reply to sender only, we leave this at off. So basically this thing should work right now. And what I want to do right now is to simply press test workflow. Now this thing got stopped now, of course, because in the last 24 hours they start to count from now on. So that's basically why this workflow stops right here if I press on test workflow. If you want to see if this workflow comes through, you can press on these. You can see that you can either send mock data, or you can also just come back here into this node. Then you go on settings and you press always output the data. And now we can press, or we can test all of this workflow at once. We will not have a complete summary of the emails from the last 24 hours because this started to count from now on. And in the last like 2 minutes, I think no mail comes through. And if I press test workflow, you see right now everything comes through. And if I press on this last node, you can also see that a mail got sent into my inbox. So let's just check this out. If I come here to my mails, you see that I have this mail. It comes of course from me. And if I open this up, you see the email summary, the summary of emails and the actions. Right now this is of course completely empty, but this is only empty because like in the last 2 minutes no email comes through. If you want to have this active, everything that you have to do is of course to press this from inactive to active, and then you will get a summary of the emails that comes through every single day at 7 AM from the last 24 hours. So I will get an email right now, tomorrow at 7 AM at my time, from the emails that come through from now until tomorrow. And that's basically the workflow. You can play with this a little bit, have fun testing this out. It's really easy, you can simply copy it.